Well, not too often you get to meet the great Carson Shaddy in studio, but today, that's exactly what we get to do. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, Carson.
Absolutely.
The man here for a Hunker in the Bunker session as we get to talk some Arkansas Razorbacks and some big picture about college baseball and life in general. And, well, you're looking great.
Appreciate it.
That was the first thing I said when I saw you. You got that rock star look. He's going to hack these shaggy locks of his off a little later. So sorry for that one to the ladies out there. Also, he's married. You have how many kids now, Carson?
2 girls.
2 girls. Wow,
Yeah.
that's fantastic. You going to keep that going or two's?
I think we're done.
Tell me about being a dad the last few years. That's a new thing since we last spoke.
Yeah, it's the best thing that I've ever been through. Better than any home run or double I ever hit. Better than any win. You know, I got 2 girls that are happy and smiling and waking up every day is a blessing. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's different, right? All of
Yeah.
a sudden, your perspective on everything starts to change. Let me tell you, Mr. Newish Dad, just a few years deeper myself, Carson, you should keep learning new stuff every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
They teach you, too. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your wife, she likes being a mom?
She loves it.
She a natural?
She was born to do that.
She's born to do it. I think
Yeah.
my wife, too.
Yeah.
I tell her that.
Yeah.
And I remember early on we were first dating. She was like, I don't know if I could do it. I'm like, oh, I know you could. And now she's a mom, you know.
Yeah.
That's one of the best parts of it is watching your girl
It really is.
be a mom. Because you and your lady run deep here. You guys have known each other a long time, right?
Yeah, we've been together since junior year of high school at Fayetteville. So went together all through college, a little bit of pro ball, and since then. So yeah, so I think it's like 15 years now or something like that.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
My wife and I have been married for, I think, 15, 16 years.
Okay.
So, yeah, we're in a similar place there, too. I think, I don't know, there's always that pressure in life. Oh, you want to chase this and that. You find somebody who you really care about in that way, who's also your best friend. I think you hold on to that for dear life, and you keep working at it because a lot of things come at you. Things change. So you know how lucky you are to have
Absolutely.
what you have with her, and I'm sure she knows that with you. One of the things I talk about sometimes on the show, Carson, is how when you have people you trust, and we're talking here even as a life partner, you end up being there for them in the crises, and they end up being there for you, and that's invaluable.
Absolutely.
Right? So you got a good thing going with your family. Tell me about your career. You're not playing baseball anymore, right?
No, not playing baseball anymore.
Okay.
I decided to get out of baseball. Played a summer with the Nationals and hung it up. My elbow was it was painful, and so decided to just be done with it. Didn't really want to get into coaching.
Why
and-
not? A lot of guys do that.
I mean, honestly, I like my weekends too much. So, and I
Such a
wasn't,
real answer.
and I wasn't. I didn't feel like I wanted to give it up. But I'm really happy I did. I mean, no discredit to all the coaches. I know they love it, but getting to spend the weekends with my family and my 2 girls is
Huge.
it's a lot of fun right now. So I'm pretty happy I did it. So
And not just weekends. You got to be away from home a lot, too.
Yeah.
So that's a lifestyle commitment for sure.
yeah,
So you were drafted by the Nationals. That must have been a good feeling.
yeah, it was.
You had quite the career, man. The definition of a hitter,
Appreciate
right?
it.
I mean, you were and still are. I know you teach that too somewhat, but a little bit of your history, right? You played growing up all the time. Your dad was a Razorback, right? Chris Shaddy, a Razorback, and then on to you. And you played growing up. You said your brother played, your older brother. Taylor played too. So you had it in your genes. You had it in your blood. Then you go to Fayetteville High School, and man, your career just kept getting better. This guy was the Gatorade High School Baseball Player of the Year in the state of Arkansas senior year. Pretty incredible accomplishment.
Appreciate
All of
it.
a sudden, you're getting interest from guys like Dave Van Horn, right? Tell me about the start of your baseball career, Carson.
Well, the starts just started from my dad and
Yeah.
having an older brother who was into it, and I just wanted to follow suit. And I can remember rolling double plays on a pillow in the living room before we went to sleep. Every night with my dad, and that love just kind of started there. And I wouldn't be being honest if I didn't say my love for baseball was really tied to Arkansas baseball growing up. And so if I didn't want to be, or if I didn't have the chance to be a Razorback, I don't know if I would have loved it as much as I really did. So yeah, I just loved it. I knew about all the stories that my dad told me and all his teammates, and that was like my burning passion was to be a Razorback.
Did
so.
you get to be around the clubhouse, the team a little bit growing up? Did you get some of that access?
I mean, maybe a little bit.
A little.
Coach and my dad played together.
Double play combo, we talked,
yes,
right?
Yeah, second and short.
Wow.
And so, definitely he didn't look at us as just people that he didn't know. Like anytime we saw him in passing, it was, hey, how are you? I watched a lot of games from their box, actually, when I was probably 8 to 12 with Holland, Van Horn.
There you go.
So, yeah, I've been around the program my whole life. I'm being a Fayetteville kid. It's just it's like my favorite thing in the world. So I look forward to it every year.
When you were declared the high school player there and you had a monster, you guys won the state championship your senior year. That must have been such an incredible feeling. Did the college recruiting start to really pick up? Did Dave suddenly say, because you end up walking on at Arkansas, I'm almost surprised that a guy who had the career you had, you hit so well, you were not actually given a scholarship to start with, right?
Yeah, no, I wasn't. Just brutally honest. I wasn't. I wasn't big enough. I was 140 pounds when I came into college.
Wow.
And my game wasn't good enough either. There's a lot of holes. Everybody knew that I could hit, but I was one of those prospects for big coaches or big schools. They would look at him and say, I know he can hit, but what, how's he gonna help us elsewhere?
Right.
He looks one-dimensional right now. And so, that being said, I was going to Crowder, JUCO, and
good JUCO.
Yeah. And I had one D1 offer, and a couple D2 offers. And then we were going into our state tournament game, and I actually had a really good game against Cody Scroggins, who was already committed at that time. And
what an athlete he was! My goodness,
one of the best. Him and Jacob Stone are probably the two best athletes I've ever played with.
Just jacked.
Yeah. And so I had a good game in front of DVH. He was in the stands, and he called me the next day, and I was actually at cell group and was with Brooks and Austin and Alex, my three best friends, who were all going to Fayetteville for football. And he called me and he was like, hey, I want you to take a couple days to think about it because, we're going to offer you the walk-on spot. It's not a scholarship. There's no money, but I want you to take a couple days. And I just said, Coach, I don't need it. I'll be there. And so
that's fantastic.
That's when it happened. And me and him laugh about it. All 4 or 5 years that I was there, it's kind of a laughing point. And
but that you didn't hesitate.
I knew I wanted to do it. And I knew my parents would be on board. Even though they had to pay for school for the first 2 years, full school. It was just a no-brainer.
We could go down that path and the number of scholarships and all that, but it does sound like some changes finally coming to college baseball. There are going to be more scholarships. The NIL does have some upside here. More guys might be able to get a little help moving forward, Carson.
Yeah, I think it's I'm in the boat where, and I don't want to get too deep into NIL today, but I think NIL is good for the sport. I think it's good for all sports. I think that, in my opinion, if you wanted to fix all the landscape, just bring back the transfer rule to where you got to sit it a year.
Right.
And, that fixes everything.
That's like the only change.
Pay your players and then make them sit out if they want to transfer to go find more money. I mean, that's
right there is the same kind of idea. Like, do you really want to wait a year, or do you just want to stay with what you got?
Yeah. It just seems like an easy fix.
That's a pretty good one.
So
that could certainly be a big piece of it, right? Just bring that back. I remember growing up when athletes would transfer, you're like, wow, I'm not going to see that guy for a while. Now they don't even have to worry about that. There's almost too much fluidity in the way people move between programs. All right, so you go to the U of A. You didn't play your first year, right? Were you redshirt? Were you hurt? What was going on?
Redshirted.
Okay.
And I was actually started my career as a bullpen catcher. So I caught in the bullpen that whole year. And
catcher in high school too, right?
Yeah. And so that was good for me because, I got to just sit and watch. And, at the time we had Jake Wise, and watching him catch was just such a thing of beauty. And the best hitter on our team was Brian Anderson. And when you get to sit and watch, and if you have a kid that's aware of his situation like I was, and soaks it all in, I think it's really helpful. And so I sat in the bullpen. I was the grunt of the team, but I got to travel. And so I got a little bit of experience, which it was like a win for me.
Of course.
I'm always brutally honest with
myself. You're a pretty mature guy. It sounds like even at a young age you had some of that maturity, like just soaking up experience with people around you.
A lot of that perspective comes from my dad.
There you go.
And he knew that I wasn't ready to play, and we were both honest with each other. And I knew too. And he just told me, he's like, do two things. You can screw off, or you can, learn. And that's what I decided to do. Learn, soak it all in.
Kept getting better. Became a really, really good college hitter. I mean, my goodness, Carson. And then you have a year over 300, right under 300, and then your senior year off the charts. Now, you were captain. Talk about a climb here. You become captain of the team. I'm trying to remember the sequence, but I think your junior year, right?
I think it was 17 or 16, one of the two. 17.
But you didn't stay captain for the rest of your career. Is that unusual, or is that not unusual for a change? What happened there?
I mean, we had a lot of people come in, and the culture may have shifted a little bit. And when older guys that come in and they have spots, and there's older guys that are already in the lineup, they may look at things and want to do things differently. And it was up to my teammates, but it was actually a really good moment for me, because that one ripped my heart out at the beginning of the season.
Really?
And DVH knew it, and he saw it after the meeting, and he called me into his office, and he said, he just told me, don't let your teammates' opinions form your season, and go out and prove it to them who you are. And I just soaked it in. I was like, okay, this is a situation. You can cry about it, or you can move forward and just try to move forward. And good things happened that year.
So you, man. I'm consistently getting a feel for you, in that you have a way of making it a chip on your shoulder and using it to keep moving forward, and you got better and better, and you didn't stay at catcher. Obviously, you played third a little bit. You're very self-critical, Carson. I know that about you throughout the years, but you thought, not great at third. You end up going to second your senior year. I thought you had a really good year in the field. You didn't even get DH much. What do you make of kind of moving around as a player? That was a pretty big skill set you had separate from your hitting.
Yeah, that just kind of comes from growing up in a baseball household, and my dad, he was this close to being in the big leagues, and so he knows a lot about baseball. And I always heard the whole cliche: if you hit, they'll put you in the lineup. And so, we just early on, me and my dad just tried to learn as many positions as I could. I played outfield my whole career, played short, third, second, catcher.
Wow.
Just tried to play everything, and that probably hurt me a little bit in the long run, as far as my professional career, because I didn't have a true position. At least that's how the scouts saw it.
I got you.
There's a lot of guys, they get stuck at short. It's obvious they're going to be a shortstop. It's obvious they're going to be a first baseman, or obvious they're going to be an outfielder, and they stick there.
You didn't have that.
From 8 on, 10 on. And so where I was the utility guy playing everything, but it was great. I don't know if I would have had as good of a career as I did if I just stuck to one position.
Yeah. When you think of yourself, what position do you think of yourself as? Second.
Yeah.
You were a really good hitter. How did you become such a good hitter? You were always a good hitter, but you kept working at it, right?
Yeah. I don't know if I was the best talented hitter. I had a good swing, and I had quick hands, but there's a lot of holes in my swing.
Yeah.
And
here's where we break the bat out, Carson. Right? Here we do it. You don't have to show me the whole thing.
But as I got older, I just
that feels good for you, right?
Yeah,
Anytime you hold a bat. Yeah.
As I got older, I just really I realized I wasn't as good as the guys around me with the bat, and I was like, okay, I got to find something that I can excel at, and I can make my own, and that's different than everybody else. And so I got really into the mental game my last 2 years, and just tried to put myself in situations in practice where it felt like I needed a clutch hit or something like that, and that whole year I just tried to not let there's a physical battle and a mental battle between hitters and pitchers, and I just told myself I'm never going to lose the mental battle that year, and it
never
really
going to lose it.
Yeah, it never it was a really good starting, getting into the box, you thinking that you're going to win.
Such confidence.
Yeah, it's a good feeling. So that was my thing, was just trying to be as mentally strong, and finding chips throughout the game.
Yeah.
I think one of my favorite moments was the South Carolina double, and
I was going to ask you for one of your favorite moments.
Yeah, so
you had so many big ones.
Well, thank
Carson.
you, I appreciate it.
Tremendous career,
Thank you.
that.
Yeah.
And all of our listeners and viewers are very appreciative of your time as well. But yeah, continue. That was a big moment.
Yeah, so this goes back to the middle game.
Yeah.
And just creating chips throughout the game. I don't know if the South Carolina coach at the time, he pre-gaming that series, he kind of brushed off a question from someone about me, and I heard it, and I took offense to it. And so we had second and third, and Fletcher was in front of me, and they intentionally walked him on 4 pitches. And I just stared down their coach, and I said, "Do you really want to do this?" to myself, and took offense to it. And I was so good at taking offense to things, little
on
things
the shoulder
that happened throughout the game that, drove me to willing my way to success. I think I was really good at willing my way to success.
And so he does that, and then the bases are loaded, and you rip a double.
Yeah.
You loved that feeling. It felt really good, didn't it?
Yeah, it was good. It was a good feeling.
It was a good feeling. You were on some great teams. You went to Omaha once or
twice?
You went
15 and
twice.
18, yeah.
15 and 18.
Yep.
15 was the Benny crew, right? Ben
Yep.
and Tendy.
Mm-hmm.
And then 18, obviously, you're one of the leaders on it. Another thing that you did was you were great at moving around the lineup. I was looking back at some box scores. You hit almost all over the lineup that year.
Yeah.
That must have almost been unsettling at times, or maybe for some players it would be, but for you, it was like, whatever. You just hit anywhere you got put in the lineup.
Yeah, I mean, hitting is, there's a little bit of job changes when the lineup, at different spots. Like, obviously, the 3-hole hitter is not going to give himself up. He needs to go hit.
Right.
4-hole hitter, 9-hole hitter, his job is to get on base. Yeah. 7-hole is to work down the pitcher, get pitch counts up.
Every spot has a job.
First is being a spark plug. So every place has a job, but at the same time, like, you're still doing the exact same thing of hitting the baseball. So, it's not that big of a change. I mean, yeah, like, I thought about it a little bit. Like, when I started in the year in the 9-hole, my whole goal was just to get on base, because I think it was Jax who led off that to start. And just get on base, and try to run a little bit, and just hope for the best. And it switched a little bit when I got moved and stayed in the 6-hole that year, because we had so many people on base 1 through 5 all the time. So that became a RBI spot. And so being more aggressive in situations than I was, or in the 9-hole, was definitely on top of my mind. Things of that nature, for sure. So
you guys had an interesting crew, a lot of different pieces, maybe not one dominant player like a Ben and Tendy, but so many good players.
Yeah.
And it seemed like everybody, even your boy Grant Cook was getting a little hot at the end, right? Behind the plate, the pitching was stepping up. Bullpen started to take on a little bit of gas. They've thrown a lot of innings. That team, in a way, Carson, it felt like maybe y'all overachieve a little bit, and yet you're right there, within one win of winning the whole thing. This I did want to ask you. After such an awesome season, literally as far as Razorback baseball has ever gone, and you come that close, you don't win it, that's got to be something for all y'all moving forward, Carson. And obviously you dealt with it too, but it's got to be something that takes a little time to process and just put in its place as you move on in your life, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it definitely took some time. It was obviously, with the heartbreak that we experienced, it was hard. It was hard on all of us, and I think it was hard on me, Eric, and Jared more than everybody else. And
you think so?
It makes you a lot stronger, and gives you some perspective. And perspective is shaped and defined by our experiences. So. I've been through some really tough experiences in baseball and outside of baseball, and so, it's hard, but what can you do?
But it was such a great year, you know what I mean? You got such a great attitude about that aspect of it. I just worry a little bit that maybe you don't give yourself enough credit, all you guys, for having such an epic season. Because who cares if you get the ring or not? You guys had a further run than any team ever has.
For sure.
I mean...
Yeah, it was a great team.
Maybe you seem like such a competitor. You're like, whatever, JB, that's enough.
But it was a team sport, man.
It's a team sport, man. Yeah. It's a team sport. You had a great team. Yeah. It was a great year. Many years ago, I remember being in that locker room after the game. The emotion was palpable.
Yeah.
After those games, you guys clearly loved each other, and you loved your coaches. You and Van Horn have maintained a relationship, and
Absolutely.
You told me before we started rolling, you watch every inning. There is nobody else who watches more than you, because you watch every inning for your Hogs, right?
I don't miss an inning. Last Saturday, my brother and I were playing golf, and we put the iPad up and watched the whole game while we were golfing. So, we don't miss the games. That's our favorite thing.
You go over there and hang out with them a little bit sometimes?
A little bit, yeah.
Try not to be in the way.
Definitely don't want to be a distraction. As a guy who's been, had his time, don't want to be a distraction, but you want to be a resource if someone needs to be if you need to be a resource to someone, which is few and far between, because everybody's got such good help up there with the staff and all the facilities and everything. But yeah, I love to be there, and I just like going up to see all my friends. 'Cause I've got 2 of my buddies that are on staff now, and
Awesome.
Coach Thompson means a lot to me. DVH means the world to me. Have a relationship with Matt Hobbs, Clay Goodwin. My goodness, all he's done for me in my 5 years. Corey Wood. I love those guys. Those are my people. So yeah, it's nice to go up there, but definitely don't want to be a distraction, especially in season. So
okay,
yeah,
we got to do it because I think you should be an SEC baseball analyst for some of these. I mean, he's good enough to do it, and you all know it. What do you think about the team? 6-1 out the gates. Let's get to the fun stuff now, Carson, right? You watch these games. I have too. We were going to do this a couple weeks ago. Weather kind of got in our way a bit, but now we got more to talk about.
Yeah.
So they're 6-1, sweep of Washington State, right? 4 for 4. And then you mentioned passing K-State, the loss, but then TCU and Michigan wins. What do you make of the start so far?
I think it's pretty good. I think it's apparent, and I think everybody who's listening can agree that our pitching staff should be pretty elite this year. Mm-hmm. The arms they have, the depth they have, it's pretty good. On the other side, the hitters, I think we have really, really good pieces. I think we have 2 superstars, big leaguers. I think the world of Iredell.
Off to a good start.
He's got the fastest hands I think I've ever seen in my life. And then Aloy and his little brother too. My goodness. But Aloy,
Kuhio?
Kuhio. Vieva.
How does Van Horn recruit Maui, Hawaii? How does that even happen?
Rick Namira has a lot to do with that. So, shout out to Rick.
Good answer.
Yeah. But yeah,
they got pieces. They got pieces.
Yeah. And seeing Vieva go the opposite way. Last year he probably pulled off the ball a little bit too much, and I think he probably would tell you that. He had 3 hits to the right side, which means his direction is where it needs to be. And so if he can stay, he's hot right now, and if he can just stay even keeled throughout the year and keep his direction, center field, right center, I think he's going to have a massive year. I think he's got top 20 upside. Like I said, I think the Iredell swing, he's got the quickest hands I think I've ever seen.
Really?
And having just a big donkey in the 3-hole.
Yeah.
Who can run too. I mean, that's crazy.
Davalon, you were telling me you like a lot too, right?
I really like Davalon.
Yeah.
And I really like him in the 1-hole because he just seems like a spark plug. I know we only got
sense.
What is it, 7 games? Did you say 6-1? Yeah. 7 games in, but you can just tell a guy's mentality and passion when he's in the box, and kid's always jumping around. He's got high energy, which is what you want in the 1-hole.
Yeah. Thomas, Pepe, they got some other talent there they need to get going. It's early, I know.
It's early, and like we were talking about earlier before we started, one of the big deals for this hitting team is there's so many pieces right now. I can't imagine how DBH is putting together the lineup.
It's tough.
It's tough. And so, as the roles get defined, as guys win roles, as the leashes get a little bit longer, I think you're going to start to see guys put together really good at bats. And for instance, Logan Maxwell, he started, didn't have a great game.
He's scuffling a little.
And then in the second game he started, he had I think it was a 10 or 11 pitch at bat where he fouled off a few, and then he drew a walk, ended up scoring.
Yeah.
Things like that are going to start happening when guys get, back-to-back starts and
all that
good stuff. So I'm really excited about the hitters.
Just put it
up. I'm on the golf clubs now.
Yeah, he's a golfer. This guy's a ridiculous golfer.
I think it's just going to get better and better.
You like their lineup. You like their pieces. You said you like Nate Thompson. You believe in him as a hitting coach. He seems like a really good dude, separate from that.
Fantastic human being. Great Christian. Great guy. Just a leader of men.
He gets critiqued a lot, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
By knuckleheads.
I mean, it's baseball. They've got a 98-mile-per-hour baseball coming at them. It's really hard to hit a round baseball with a round bat.
Now, you're great at 2 sports that are almost impossible, baseball and golf. And the age-old debate, and I was going to ask you this, you walked right into it there, what is tougher to do? To be a really good baseball player or a really good golfer? What do you think, Carson Shaddy?
I would say baseball because, on the professional level on golf, those guys are unbelievable. But they're, when it comes down to it, they're competing against themselves. Whereas baseball, you're in a boxing match 4 times a game if you're a hitter. If you're a pitcher and you face or you got to get 27 outs. So
That's a lot of boxing matches.
that's a lot of boxing matches.
Yeah, it is.
So there's the physical, mental. I think hitting a baseball is the hardest thing to do in sports,
think so.
other than being a hockey goalie. That's got to be the hardest thing in sports.
Oh, it's got to be terrifying. Are you kidding me?
Or being a quarterback.
There's
Those
a
are the
lot
top
of
three.
scary things here. You just talked about walking into the ring, right? Those things are a little bit scary too. I think though, but the hitting of a baseball, you don't know where it's going.
Yeah.
The reaction time. I'm just a high school baseball player here. Obviously, you're a high level baseball player. I don't even know how you guys see the ball, man. Once it started getting over 80 with curves and stuff, I left contact with that sport.
Yeah.
Carson, what do you have? Like 2-3 tenths of a second to react and make a.
I don't know what the math is on it.
It's
but
like
it's not very a lot.
ridiculous how little time a baseball player has to do that. So, big picture, the pitching seems like it's there too. We know Matt Hobbs is one of the best in the game. This team's got a chance to play for a long time. What do you think the season goal, expectation? What's your hope for the team this year?
I mean, if this team and any team that wears the Arkansas Razorback uniform isn't their main goal isn't to win the national championship, then we got a problem.
Truth.
So like just for an example,
Truth.
Our year, we in 18. I mean, I had all my goals written up on the mirror, and I saw it every single day what we wanted, and everybody was on page that we wanted to win the national championship.
That's
Came up
awesome.
short, but we made it there. And
You sure did.
that should be this team's goal. Is they've got the talent. I mean, they're just seeping with talent. It's crazy. I mean, it's so much more than what we had. I mean, the last 3 years the recruiting has gotten so wild, and we have done so well. And there's just talent everywhere. And I was actually talking to my boss this morning. The whole fact that the MLB draft is 20 rounds shorter is just making the landscape of baseball so much better. I mean, you look at teams like, I don't know, Lamar or people who used to be cupcakes.
Yeah.
They're not cupcakes anymore.
SEMO.
Yeah, SEMO.
Right?
All those types of schools. Like they're tough. And so it's getting better, and kids are turning down money because they can get money here, and then they can get money when they get drafted. I mean, it's beautiful to see. And it's awesome. It's just you got to keep adding and keep progressing and keep learning, and it's great.
College baseball's exploded. Baum Walker's just a palace these days, right? It's unbelievable how nice that place is.
Yeah, the place is the mecca.
It is. It is the mecca of college baseball. One of these days, the Hogs are going to win a title, man.
Yeah,
One of these days. That'll be a great moment for you too, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, for all the Hogs who've ever played here, right?
Absolutely.
You just got to keep getting the players, keep having the support of the program like they have, right?
Yep.
And keep having people who played for Van Horn, guys like you, keep saying positive things too. So you're a really successful guy in the retail sales world these days. And not to put you on the spot again, but again, SEC baseball commentator. You could be a coach. You still do a little bit of hitting work, but not too much. Carson, the world is your oyster here, my friend.
I don't know about that.
So at the least, we're going to have you keep coming back here to do some stuff, okay?
For sure.
But how old are you now? You're a young guy.
30.
30.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel like 20, does it? It changes.
No, it doesn't.
And now you're a dad. So keep enjoying it. Keep up the awesome work.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for being a class act. I've always thought that about you.
Thank you.
And only the best things moving forward for you and your family, okay?
Appreciate it.
More of these great conversations coming your way real soon. The great Carson Shaddy. Nice to hang out for a bit here as we continue on Team B Media.